So I'll just tell it as simple as it is. And then if you think I haven't touched something that you really would love to hear, then just ask me and I'll do that. So yes, my name is Sister Angelicah. I am born in Kenya, and I come from a family of 8 children, 5 girls, 3 boys, and I am number 6. So there is a big gap between me and the others because my little sister came like 6 years after I was born, and my brother, whom I follow, passed away a few years ago. So I feel sometimes like an island in between there, but I thank God that I always have very many loving people around me. So growing up, I grew up as a Catholic. My family was always Catholic, my mom, my dad. We weren't, like very strong in church activities, being in this club or the other. At least I didn't see that in my family. But somehow when I was young, I was drawn so much to the choir in the church, so that even when I was little, I just loved to go and sit around the choir, even though I didn't know how to sing much, but I would be there. And I've come to discover that music speaks a lot to me. Music is anything and everything to me. Every season, I could be getting lots of messages and growth from music. And so sometimes I would carry my little sister on my back and go and sit with her in the church and, singing. And we lived not very close to the church. As you know, in Africa, we trek long distances for everything. To go to church, to school, to draw water, to get firewood and everything. And I believe that distance was maybe about 2 miles that I would walk to go to church. Come rain, come sunshine, I would be going to church, and I loved it. And so as I grew up, I got even closer to the church. My dad always says that, even when I was younger than I could understand, I really loved being around the church compound, just going there to play and do things. But when I grew up, and I recount very well from when I was like in the 5th grade, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I joined the choir in our church. I joined the youth group. I would be there helping to clean the church, to clean the linens, like what we use for mass, the priest's clothes and things like that, ironing them, anything just to find myself around the church. And so I really spent a lot of my days as a youth in the church with other friends. And I was so drawn to the priests. The first people I saw very closely, having a very close relationship with God, were priests. And every time the priest would be like chanting the preface during Mass, I would just think, I wish I could do that. And I thought at some point, maybe I will be a priest and I can also stand there and chant. But then, yes, I was a girl, and so girls don't become priests in the Catholic Church. And so that was a disappointment for me. But when I was in the 7th grade, we had some nuns who came to our parish, missionaries from Mexico, and they were serving in our parish. And so I got close to them, like going to see them in the church when they are praying the psalms, chanting the psalms. I loved the way they would dress in their habits and have a rosary hanging here. And I thought, wow, that's cool. I think I would love that. And so I started really talking, and I spoke to Father, I spoke to in the parish, I spoke to my parents, I spoke to friends at school, and I kept saying, I think I would really love to be like those sisters there. And so God God's ways are never our ways, because those were the first sisters I talked to, and through them, then I learned of other communities of sisters who are actually local communities within my diocese, and I visited them. I would be going there, but somehow just feeling, I don't think they are, I wouldn't find much joy and happiness. And so, we kept being advised with my friends, to visit many different communities of sisters. And we discovered there were so many in my city. And so, moving from one to another, and, just trying to feel where you feel more comfortable, because unfortunately, we are not like those who got vocations in the Old Testament. You remember, like the vocation of Samuel, being called at night and running to the priest to say, "You called me," and the priest said, "No, I did not call you." So God did not tap my shoulder and say, "Come and follow me." No, so I had to keep listening. And how do you listen? You talk to people, yeah? Talk to the sisters, talk to the priest, talk to your friends, talk to your family. And so that helped me eventually realize where God was calling me. So when I continued communicating with the sisters, and specifically with one congregation, you call them order here, one order. And I told my dad to write for me my first application to that convent, and he wrote it for me, and Father helped me, and we took that application to the convent. So when I was in, Form 3, that is junior in high school here, I met a different congregation of sisters. These two sisters came to our parish, and I saw them through the window because we were there practicing for Christmas play, and I saw them, and I thought these were sisters from the community that I had been visiting, and I ran out to greet them. And so the first thing I saw was this. We all wear different habits, sometimes the same colors of habits, the same veils, but what sisters wear around their necks or, pin around themselves is very specific to specific communities. So when you see so many sisters wearing black and, black habits and white veils or black veils, just look at what they are wearing around their necks, and you will know they belong to different communities. So I saw those sisters having something like this, and I thought, oh, so you are not the Assumption sisters, because the community that I was aspiring was the Assumption sisters, and they wear a cross. And so the two sisters said, oh, so you want to join the Assumption sisters? And I was like, well, no, not really, but I want to be a sister, and I'm still aspiring. And so I asked them, about themselves, where they came from, and they told me their story, and I asked them whether I could visit them, because I had not yet made up my mind. And I discovered they were from a city that is 100 miles from where I lived, and I was still young. And so I thought, oh my goodness, so how would I get there? So they gave me the address and everything to write a letter an application to the vocations promoter. And so this time I wrote it myself, and I expressed my desire to join them. And, after some time I received, we didn't have cell phones then. We didn't even have like the telephones to call. We just wrote letters. So I wrote the letter, and maybe in a month's time I received back, and the vocations director said, yes, thank you for applying. I invite you to please come and see. You remember what the disciples of John said when they saw Jesus? And John said, there is the Lamb of God. And they went after him, and then, they felt awkward because they didn't know Jesus, and they were like, where do you live? They didn't know how to talk to him, and he said, come and see. So this community of sisters told me, come and see. So I wrote back and I said, okay, I have two friends who want to become sisters also. Can I come with them? And again, after maybe a month, a letter came back and said, come with all your friends who want to be sisters. And so we went there, and you won't believe how God reveals himself to us. After I had visited like 10 communities, and this was the last minute, we get into that house. Gosh, I can't even tell you the story of traveling there. It is long, but we got ourselves there. And so the person who opened the door for us was a guy who worked in that house, and there's a guest room where, you know, you wait for whoever you are waiting for, and the curtains were drawn, so it was a bit dark. He didn't open the curtains, you know, there wasn't light, and so we were like, we are in darkness, and we were quiet there, not even sure what will happen. But this sister came and, you know, like ripping the curtains and saying, let there be light so that we can see our sisters. And we were like, are we already sisters? We just came to visit. Mm-hmm. But that made the whole difference. We had never seen a sister so much alive and so loving like this one. And so she left us there after, you know, welcoming us, went to get for us a cup of tea and, you know, a snack. And, you know, immediately she left, we were like, I don't think I'm going anywhere else. This is where I want to come. So she brought us tea and something we had never eaten, and, you know, it was like a hard ball made from sesame seeds and sugar, and just cracking it, and even the taste. But we were like, we have to eat because this is where we want to be. Anyway, that was the point at which I discovered where God wanted me to be. And today I can tell you very, very clearly what I was looking for. So everybody who seeks to be something or someone in life have a gift that God has put in them, and you must find a community that has that same gift. That is what we call a charism, a gift of the Holy Spirit. So I had never discovered that God has given me a gift of deep joy. I am a very joyful and joyous person, and that shows itself anywhere I appear. You know, even without knowing, and someone is just drawn to that. And that is exactly the spirit, the charism of the Sisters of Mary of Kakamega. That is what drew me to this community and kept me there. Our motto, our charism is to love and to serve with deep joy and gratitude even amidst suffering and pain, because we do serve in areas that we experience lots of suffering, lots of pain. Anyway, so after discovering this, I had to go back, I had to complete high school. After high school, I went to college for 1 year and then decided, no, I wasn't going to continue. I just want to be a sister. And so I went and joined the convent, and you know, it took me 4 years of training. In our community, we take, the first year is called the aspirant year. And so you join the convent and you live there and you're just learning to pray and deepening your faith. After that 1 year, you take a step and you are called a postulant. Now, as a postulant, you even receive a dress. It's not a habit like this. It's just a simple white dress that you use when you are going to Mass. And then, you know, the rest of the days, you just use your casual clothes. And after that, I went to the novitiate. The novitiate takes 2 years. The first year in the novitiate is called canonical year. So you don't leave the novitiate. Visitors are restricted, you know, you don't see your family, you don't see people, though they may come, but very restricted, because that is a period of real learning the doctrines of the church, the traditions of the community that we join, learning theology, you know, studying some philosophy. It's intense learning. After the first year, or the 1 year of novitiate, then we are sent out. You know, different intervals, you go to live in a community of sisters, you learn how they live, and you apply what you have learned in living this community. At the same time, you know, you break and go for like a national study periods with all other girls from different communities, because we have like over 500 communities of sisters in Kenya, and they all send their novices to these places in Nairobi, that's the capital, where we would meet and we would be learning together. And so after those 4 years, then I took my first vows, and that's the time I got my veil and my real first habit. So you take your vows for 1 year, the vows of chastity, poverty, and obedience. And after 1 year, if you think, you know, they want to see, are you still willing to continue being a sister? Or do they think you don't really have a vocation here? And so you take another year of temporal vows, and another year now of three years of temporal vows. So after 6 years, after a minimum of 6 years, then you take your perpetual vows, and that's when you get the ring. And we have the ring on our right hand to differentiate us from married women, because they have it on the left. And so, yeah, I never hesitated. I continued, and up to this time, I discovered my vocation, and I'm still discovering it. I keep discovering it each day through the missions that I'm sent out to do. Sometimes it's very hard, you know. You are asked to go to places that you never thought you would go. Very hard places, but still God has continued to give me the grace to be the sister that He called me to be, and I'm happy. So, I don't know.
That's beautiful, yeah!
I told you everything you would want to hear, or there are different.
Yeah, maybe, does anyone have a couple questions they want to ask or anything? I have a question. How did you get in the U.S. then?
So when after my final vows, of course, I was sent to different communities where I worked. And before I came to the U.S., I worked for 20 years. And as I said, I did not complete college before I joined the convent, though I continued studying, but I really never completed college. So after 20 years of service, I really wanted renewal. So I came to the United States, first of all, for sabbatical. Sabbatical can be 4 months to 1 year. I came over at Gonzaga University.
Oh, what?
Yes, where there is within Gonzaga University a ministry institute that offers sabbatical for religious sisters, priests, or mature people who are discerning a different vocation. So I came there with an intention of going back to go to school to complete my studies. And so I never went, because after my sabbatical, I got a scholarship to complete my studies at Gonzaga. And so I was at Gonzaga for like 4 years. I completed my undergraduate, and then I completed my master's degree there. And then after that, I was sent here because we are already, like, since 10 years ago, we had a call for my community from one of the bishops in this region to come and minister in the schools and the parishes in Oregon, and that is in Becker Diocese. And so by the time I completed my studies at Gonzaga, I was asked to move this way to help establish one of the communities of the Sisters of Mary. And that's why I'm here. You know, I got a job here, so I'm here helping and supporting St. Pius, but also establishing a community of the Sisters of Mary in this archdiocese. We are just 2 for now, though you will see regularly lots of sisters coming to visit us, but it's Sister Dorothy and myself, and we both work here.
Any other questions?
Can you, like, describe the feeling that you knew exactly that God was calling you to do something?
So yes, and it's never very clear, but you know, one thing I did a lot, and I encourage you to do that, is when you feel like you have a certain desire. I'm sure right now all of you are thinking, you know, after school I want to do this. There is a reason you are drawn to that path. And so the best thing is to pray. And I prayed a lot, you know, asking God, is this what you are calling me? You know? But the distinctive thing that I felt was that I really wanted to spend my time praying. I did not know by that time that sisters worked. I thought sisters just pray. And yes, we have contemplative sisters who just pray. But I knew that I wanted to pray in order to help people, you know, supporting people with my prayers. That's what precisely took me to the convent. And, you know, through praying, I never saw a different thing. You know, like maybe you say, I want to be a teacher when I graduate from school. And, you know, that's the path. Everything you do is to become a teacher. Or maybe at some point you're like, I'm more attracted to be a nurse because I just love touching people and nursing them. And so, you know, that kind of thing. So I knew I wanted to be in the convent where I would spend all my time praying for people. But then when I discovered, you know, when I was told, you know, when you become a sister, you don't just pray, you have to work. And so the next question was, what do you think you would love to do in life? And I thought, teaching. And so, you know, the forms that I filled when I joined the convent, number 1 was to be a teacher, number 2 was to be a nurse, number 3 was to be a social worker. I never did any of those. Why? Because as you grow in your religious vocation, your superiors are also assessing you and seeing where your gifts are more reflective than what you are saying. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that there is a need. In every congregation, there is a specific need. So by the time I took my vows, the greatest need for my community was for secretaries. They needed secretaries in institutions, secretaries for bishops, for whatever else. And so eventually, that is the path I took, just because of 1 year of college that I had started that was towards administration. And so that's where I got myself. So I would think praying and talking. You may not have a specific person you call a spiritual director, but talk to people. And that's why it's very important to look at the company you keep, the people you relate with, because they will help you judge this. I used to talk to my friends, and until I spoke out, then they also said, oh, I also want to be a sister, you know, that way. And then we would talk to our parish priest, our pastor in the parish, and different people. So, yeah, but I think prayer is one of the most important things that helps you to stay focused. Every day just ask God, what are you asking me to do for you in life? What do you want me to be? Yeah.
Awesome.
Any other question? Does anybody feel called to be a priest, to be a sister, to serve in a special vocation in the church? Anybody? Even if it just comes and goes, or you have ever thought about it? Like to be a priest?
Yeah, I thought about being a priest for a couple of years in college.
Okay.
Deacon John.
Yeah, we have Deacon John in this parish. So sometimes I think it is like the story of Jonah. God is calling you here and you're, God, are you crazy?
Yeah.
This is where I'm going, and God has a way of turning you around to where He wants you to be. So you never know. Yeah. So I encourage you, be people of prayer, you know, talk to each other. Spiritual life is not easy. And I'm so happy to see you gathered here. You could have chosen to be anywhere else. There are a lot of young people who are anywhere else right now.
Don't give them
not
ideas.
here. Yeah, but you decided to be here. And maybe you don't even know why you end up being here, but something draws you to this community. It's very important, and I love it that you're here, because unless you have a support system like this, it may be very difficult to discern and understand where God is calling you. sometimes we don't have honestly, like in my family, I don't think my family was a very great support system for me, because, I mean, I say these things and they were like, okay, nobody bothered much. Even when I said I was going to the convent, my mom was like, she will come back. Because, you know, one time I was sent into a boarding school. I actually asked to go to a boarding school, and I didn't survive, so I escaped and went back home. And so even when I said I'm going to the convent, they were like, she will come back. And I never returned, and so it's been 30 years. I never went back home. I go to visit them, I go back to the convent. So, yeah, so I encourage you, pray, talk to people. I'm always around here. If you ever have any questions, if you need my support in any way, talk to me. You know where I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Sister. Let's give her a round of applause.